It's myself Siddharth Chauhan. Welcome to Easy Medchem. Today's our lecture topic is to study about the cranial nerves through the foraminas. In the previous part of the videos, in the skull video, we had studied about the internal structure of the skull is been divided into the three fossas: the anterior cranial fossa, the middle cranial fossa, and the posterior cranial fossa. And there are so many foraminas which are present in these fossas. The anterior cranial fossa consists of the foramen cecum, the ethmoid foraminas, and the foraminas in the cribriform plate. This is the foraminas which is present in the anterior cranial fossa. In the middle cranial fossa, there are so many foraminas. These are the optic canal is present, the superior orbital fissure is present, the foramen rotundum, foramen ovale, foramen spinosum, and carotid canal and foramen lacerums are present. In the posterior cranial fossa, we had learnt about that the internal acoustic meatus, the jugular foramina, hypoglossal canal, and the foramen magnum are present. There are so many foraminas through which the cranial nerves and the associated structures are going through these foraminas. In today's part of the video, we will be learning about the cranial nerves through these foraminas. So there are 12 pairs of cranial nerves in the human skull. So these are the cranial nerves and the foraminas. The first cranial nerve is the olfactory nerve. Olfactory, there are 12 cranial nerves: olfactory, optic, oculomotor, trochlear, and this is the trigeminal nerve, which are having the three branches: fifth of first, fifth of second, and fifth of third. This is the trigeminal branch or the trigeminal nerve. This is the trigeminal nerve. Okay, this is the trigeminal nerve, which is having a three branches: ophthalmic part, maxillary part, and the mandibular part. The sixth cranial nerve is the abducens nerve, seventh is the facial, eighth is the vestibulocochlear, ninth is a glossopharyngeal, 10th is a vagus nerve, 11th is a accessory, and 12th is a hypoglossal nerve. Okay, the 11th cranial nerve is having a two parts. These are the cranial accessory part and the spinal accessory part. Spinal accessory part and the cranial accessory part will join together and will form a 11th cranial nerve, which is a accessory nerve, and the 12th one is a hypoglossal nerve. So we had learnt about the internal structure of the skull, and through this there are so many foraminas through which the cranial nerves are arising. The olfactory nerve, which is the first cranial nerve, is arising from the cribriform plate of the ethmoid bone, which is present in the anterior cranial fossa. Okay, this is present in the anterior cranial fossa, through which the olfactory nerve or the cranial nerve number first is arising. The second one is the optic nerve, which is a sensory nerve and is arising from the optic canal, which is present in the middle cranial fossa. This is present in the middle cranial fossa, optic canal, and through this canal the optic nerve is arising. The third is the oculomotor nerve. It is a motor nerve and it is arising through the superior orbital fissure, which is present in the middle cranial fossa as well. The middle cranial fossa, in the middle cranial fossa, the superior orbital fissure is present, through which the oculomotor nerve or the cranial nerve number third is arising. The fourth cranial nerve is a trochlear nerve, through which it is arising from the superior orbital fissure as well, and it is a motor nerve. The fifth cranial nerve, which is a trigeminal nerve, and it is having a three branches. Okay, the first branch is the ophthalmic part, second is the maxillary part, and the third is the mandibular part. The trigeminal nerve ophthalmic part is arising from the superior orbital fissure. The maxillary part is arising from the foramen rotundum, and the mandibular part is arising from the foramen ovale. This is the foramen ovale. The sixth cranial nerve is arising from the superior orbital fissure as well. The seventh is a facial, and it is arising from the internal acoustic meatus. So we have to keep it in our mind that the trochlear nerve, oculomotor nerve, ophthalmic part of the trigeminal nerve, and the abducens nerve, these all nerves are arising from the superior orbital fissure. So the oculomotor nerve, trochlear nerve, the ophthalmic part of the trigeminal nerve, this one, and the abducens nerve. These four nerves are arising from the superior orbital fissure. The seventh cranial nerve is a facial nerve. It is both sensory as well as the motor, and it is arising from the internal acoustic meatus. The 11th, 8th one is the vestibulocochlear, and it is a sensory nerve, and it is arising from the internal acoustic meatus as well. So the facial nerve and the vestibulocochlear nerve, they both are arising from the internal acoustic meatus, which is present in the posterior cranial fossa. Ninth one is the glossopharyngeal nerve, which is both a sensory and the motor nerve, and it is arising from the jugular foramen. Vagus is both, which is arising from the jugular foramen. Accessory is also rising from the jugular foramen. So these three nerves, glossopharyngeal, vagus, and the spinal and cranial accessory, they both are arising from the jugular foramen. The 12th or the last cranial nerve is a hypoglossal nerve, which is arising from the hypoglossal canal, which is present in the from the inside of the foramen magnum. So these are the foraminas and the nerves which is arising from these foraminas. So that's all for this part. We will be learning about how to remember these cranial nerves in the next part of the video. So do like, share and subscribe my channel and press bell icon for more notification. Thank you. Like, share and subscribe my channel to reboot your knowledge and press bell icon for all notifications.